This is Natasha Henstridge from Species and Ghost of Mars. I know you're really into scary movies, but take this advice. Don't go out there. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode. All right, guys, jump into the film review. We're going to be concluding 2000s month with Dustin's pick. Dustin, you want to announce your pick and why you picked it?
Not really. Look, this is my second time picking this movie. I originally picked it, probably 2 years ago or better. I don't remember when initially I did it. But after watching the first half of it back then, I decided that I didn't want to subject my co-host to such a movie. Well, I'm ready to subject y'all to it now. This movie was nostalgic to me. When it first came out back in 2001, it was at a time when we may or may not have had a jailbroke DirecTV receiver that got all the movie channels and pay-per-views for free. May or may not have. I don't know.
Was that the black box? The thing they call the black box?
I've never heard of such. But anyway, I remember watching it when it was brand new and thinking it was awesome. I watched it probably 3 or 4 times. Fast forward to 2018, and one of my best friends bought this movie on DVD for me because I talked about the movie so much to him several times, and I hadn't seen it since that original run in 2001. And I didn't watch the DVD for a few years until originally when I picked it for us to review. And like I said, I only made it about halfway through that time. So this time, when I did the scene by scene, which I'm doing tonight, it was actually my first time seeing this movie all the way through in close to 23 years. And boy, was my nostalgia wrong. I think we all could admit that we watch movies for different reasons when we were youths compared to now. We like different things. Our taste evolves. We want different things in movies. We appreciate or critique things differently. It's safe to say that 13-year-old Dustin was on some bullshit liking this one as much as he did. I don't hate it, but bros and sister bros that may be listening, it's not good.
All right.
That's all I got.
Go
ahead.
Abrupt ending. All right. Bros and sister bros. I do not like it whatsoever. I did not think we could do worse than Cabin Fever, but by God, Dustin, he did it. Worse than Cabin Fever.
You're welcome.
What's redeemable about this besides it having a cool cast? Not much. Not to me. I think there's a lot of excuses made by Mr. John Carpenter, and I'm going to have a hot take right here. Brian, you said it way back when we did The Thing, I believe. John Carpenter is incredibly overrated as a horror director. Better soundtrack guy. My man, you should have retired after Halloween 78, if we're being honest. I can't find anything after that was that much better. And this movie, if you just read through the IMDb facts, trivia, makes a lot of excuses why shit's bad. And I feel bad for Natasha Henstridge. You could tell she was tired from doing other films and jumping in this one.
No
Ice Cube
excuses.
said,
play like a champion.
Ice Cube said this is the worst movie he's ever been in with those effects. I agree. I mean, this movie sucks. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
And dude, that man was an anaconda. Anyway,
A way superior movie to this one.
I'll say that I don't hate it as much as my co-hosts. I'm more of the sci-fi guy, though, so I understand. And it did grow on me a little bit by the end. But now that that's out of the way, I'm about to double down on some stuff that Nico mentioned that I've said before, and that I'm sure will make some people mad anyway. So I didn't hate this because I expected it to be bad, and I expected it not to be my favorite because Carpenter did it. Because Carpenter did it. Like the guy is a B movie champion. I just feel like, and I think I've said this before, that you're either going to love the cheesiness or you're not. You know, like every single one of his movies, I think it's a great story with great bones. You know, it had someone else done it and put some money into it. You know, I know that sounds like hating, but it's not really. You know, I'm trying to be honest. I only like Halloween and Escape from New York from what he's done. And with Escape from New York, I'd say the same thing. The dialogue is cringy at best, and the thing is, like, you know, it's the director and not the actors, because all of these cats you've seen have a long, amazing careers with great acting performances. You know, I just have come to the conclusion after seeing Carpenter stuff that he's like, meh, that's good enough, and just kind of moves on to the next scene. And that's part of his greatness in being able to make movies cheap and churn them out, and why he's been and his movies have been so profitable and so successful. I just don't think he gets the most out of his actors, or at least what I want to see out of them. Again, just my opinion. Right into Settle92 to tell me how wrong I am. That's fine. But, and Nico kind of touched on this, in Carpenter's defense, this is the last thing and I'll shut up. Carpenter did admit that he was trying to make this over the top and tongue in cheek as possible. So, I mean, it's meant to be like this, but like with Maximum Overdrive, I enjoyed it there. Here, it just felt like it drug on and it didn't fit.
All right, hold on. Before you go, Settle, he compared this to like something like Predator. Predator is a 12 out of 10 compared to this. Don't be disrespectful. Be for real, John Carpenter. You made a dog shit film. Just accept it.
He compared it to Commando, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, and Predator.
Yeah, he fucking wishes. Jesus Christ. This movie fucking blows, man. This movie stinks. You know, and here's the thing. Yeah, he may have been going for over the top, but he didn't fucking nail it, because as over the top as it was, it almost felt like it was trying to take itself too serious. Which, like, I don't know what they were going for, who the target audience was, but this is like some weird Mad Max ripoff with Predator, like just all kinds of weird shit. Man, the dialogue is fine. I'm not a fan of the story because I don't care about sci-fi. I think it made Mars look disgusting, which is not fun or adventurous in any way. I don't really like many of the characters. There's not a whole lot that I like about it. There's a few shots that I think are cool. Early on, there's almost like a little bit of a slasher vibe to it, and then that goes away rather quick. It looks like – I know Dustin will appreciate this. I was going to save it for my notes, but the main minor guy at the end kind of looks like the Kiss Demon from WCW, which is just not scary in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, shout out to Dale Torborg.
Dale Torborg, yes. Shout out to Dale Torborg. But no, I mean, fun cast. You know, Robert Carradine's in here briefly, which was odd, and Ice Cube, who I go back and forth on if I like him in this kind of role. I kind of like him in a funnier role. Like, I love the barbershop movies. Are We There? Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like, in this role, I don't know. I'm not really buying it, but I didn't grow up with Ice Cube as the rapper. He's been the family movie guy, or the funny guy my entire life. So I don't see him in that way. But he is better in Anaconda than this. This movie sucks. Go fuck yourself, John Carpenter.
Damn. So you actually said that it's the opposite of what I said. Like, you like the dialogue and hate the story. That's that's completely opposite of me. So that'll be interesting to see what you have to say.
No, I don't necessarily. I don't really like either one. I was trying to say something nice. Where I don't think the dialogue is the main issue for me. It's more like I don't give a fuck about these characters at all. By the way, I will say I really only like Halloween '78 out of John Carpenter. The only other one I do kind of like is They Live.
You don't like The Thing?
No.
I thought you did. My bad. Okay.
It's like in the middle of the pack for me.
All right. Well, I'm doing the scene by scene, so if you're listening, pray for me. Let's get it started. The movie opens with a look at Mars and a narrator telling us something that had been buried for centuries was just uncovered. We also see some demographics of Mars on screen, including 640,000 colonists, and that Earth law is being enforced. Then a very of the time score plays, and we get our opening credits and title card, and we see a Mars vehicle traveling in the background that's on autopilot. It's arrived at Chrysler, where a group of officials are meeting. There was another incident yesterday. Lieutenant Melanie Ballard was the only one on board, and she'd been taking a drug nap. Ballard is then brought into the room for a discovery hearing regarding the incident. She tells the officials what happened, and we see that she popped what I'm going to say is a perk 30 on the train because she started hallucinating and dozing off. Helena blows Melanie's high and tells her they're picking up a notorious criminal named Desolation Williams, who's facing murder charges. When the crew gets off the train, the place is a ghost town, no one in sight. Melanie and Sergeant Jericho are sent to check in at the jail, and we see some relationship and character building with the two. Jericho is big horny. When they get to the jail, it's empty just like the rest of the town. But at least Desolation Williams is still in a cell. The two see lights flickering in the building next door, and when they go to check it out, they're greeted by blood smeared all over the interior walls, and the place has been ransacked. Melanie finds a woman's hand poking out of a cabinet, and when she opens the door, we see that the hand is missing a woman. And Ballard says, it's time to get back up. That's the opening set of scenes. What you guys think?
All right. So kind of going along what Nico said, and before I get started on the scene by scene, I also want to point out that Natasha Henstridge recalled that Carpenter would come to set every day and say that this was, quote, the biggest piece of shit he's ever made. So he claimed that was a way to relax his cast and crew. So comparing it to Rambo and Predator, get the fuck out of here. Another approach as to why you won't hear me say that the, quote, acting is bad when in this at all, because like I said, I think it's the dialogue and, the approach Carpenter took with it. But as far as story goes, I don't care for the aspect of friend of the show, Natasha Henstridge, by the way, but I don't care for making her the narrator of what we're seeing, because to me that falls apart when she tells stuff that she's not involved in or not conscious for. And I know that's just a personal preference for me, but unless I'm going to get like the aspect of her not being a reliable narrator, or I'm going to get 100% of it first person, then I'm not a fan of it. I also don't like the choice from the simple fact that we're putting her in danger later in the movie, but have no sense of tension or even worry that anything's going to happen to her because we know she survives to tell the story. It's also worth mentioning, too, that Henstridge was only cast a week before filming because of an injury to Courtney freaking Love, who was supposed to have been the lead. Come the fuck on. Courtney Love? Like, really? This movie really would have been a joke at that point. Like, I'm no offense, Courtney Love, but all the offense.
I don't know. She might have killed it.
Yeah, no. She might have killed it. Hey-oh, got it.
Yeah.
All right.
You can just throw her down a hole. It's okay.
I do love the casting of Statham, and even getting to see Pam Grier and Clay Duvall again. Is the Faculty the only thing that we've covered of Duvall's up to this? No, Identity. She was in Identity too. But regardless, great to see them. My only problem with this is that none of them seem to behave like they would be cops. And I know this is 100+ years in the future, but even like military. I would have just liked to have seen maybe more respect for a rank, a more militaristic approach, even, Star Wars Troopers-esque. Let's go with that. Even to use an example from a future military, the way Jericho talks to Bullard, I just think is nuts, and seemed super out of place. And for God's sakes, could we have found a different way to show Bullard succumbing to that Zen type effects from the, by the way, fastest working perk 30, the Dustin said pill of all time. The waves, the instant Zen music that came across the screen made me feel like I was watching Silk Stockings on Skinamax in the 90s or something. But anyway.
Hey, Silk Stockings used to come on after Monday Night Raw on USA Network.
Maybe Red Shoe Diaries. Let's go with that. And whoa. Was that Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds? I think, holy shit, it was. Robert Carradine. Give us coffee. Coffee. All right. Thanks, Robert.
It's also Lizzie McGuire's father. Anyway. Man, we're starting off here, and this looks like a scene straight out of Jason X for a second. I thought I had the wrong movie on. Anyway, But yeah, whatever drug that she's on here, I'd like to try some. I mean, that shit kicked in quick. I'd like to see what the effects are. I'm down for it. Very random to me that Jason Statham is in this movie. Not in a bad way, just, I don't know. It was odd casting to me, not in a bad way, I guess. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, this movie was a year before The Transporter came out, so he wasn't Jason Statham yet.
Right. Look, man, and I know, Brian made a face earlier, but if this is how Mars looks, I don't want to be on Mars, man. So I just don't think it's a good look. Like, I've seen other movies where they do go to Mars, and I thought it looked a lot more aesthetically pleasing than this. My man Statham is thirsty early in the film here. Thirsty again later in the movie. My man is on a mission, and I guess good for him. There's some fun slasher vibes here early on with the blood and the way that Carpenter decides to shoot it. But to me, this set of scenes has a whole lot of nothing burger, and I don't like narratively how it's told as like a court deposition the entire time. I found that to be kind of odd. Last thing, out of the closet pops Mae Young and Mark Henry's child. That is insane. Great time.
All right, yeah, I don't have a whole lot either, but I thought the opening narration and the graphics, it kind of reminded me of a video game, and that's not a slight. I liked it. I thought the opening credits had a fire tune playing along, and I thought, so far so good. The Inquisitor, I believe, is who I'm referencing. It seems like she's not even acting and just reading off lines as Lieutenant Ballard is brought in. She didn't feel very natural. Natasha Henstridge, Pam Grier, Clea Duvall, and Jason Statham all in the same room. There's no way this movie stinks, right?
Right.
This town, community that the group is walking through, I thought it looked terrible, in my opinion. This looks like something kids would make in Minecraft or in the Fortnites, whatever they play. And, and this is just a very, very, very minor dialogue nitpick. I've never heard a cop yell out, police officer, anyone there? It's more like, I don't know. That just bothered me. It's nothing major, but it did catch my eye. And this is the last thing I got. Not a lot of notes here, but there's not much going on that catches my eye either. I'm just, at this point in my note taking, I'm just kind of feeling it out and hoping it's not as bad as I remember.
It's
the
not.
Fortnites got me. That made me laugh just because my old ass would say the same thing.
The YouTubes.
All right. Oops. Let's get it going. Next set of scenes. Jericho and Ballard head out, and they're on high alert, resulting in a dumbass jump scare when one of their colleagues, Descanso, comes from around the corner and tells them the recreation facility is a slaughterhouse. We see that when Descanso and Helena's group got to the rec fac, as they call it, dead bodies were strung up from the ceiling, and we find out everyone is dead, and Bashira can't reach the train. Helena suspects that Williams is involved. They all head to the prisoner cells and begin a roll call when they come across a woman who's unaccounted for. She checked herself in last night and insisted on being locked in with the prisoners. Her name is Dr. Whitlock, and she says she's there because it's the only safe place to be. There was a riot where she was stationed, and she rode a hot air balloon, Joe Dirt style, down into town until a windmill punctured the balloon. Ballard asked Williams if he's aware what's going on outside, but he's not feeling very talkative. Jericho tells Ballard that she has some balls to call Williams an asshole, and then offers up his penis to her again. Man's like Dion Waiters. He'd rather go 0 for 30 than 0 for 9 because you go 0 for 9 means you lost confidence and stopped shooting. The group continues navigating through the jail when they find a disoriented female officer locked in a closet. They take her gun, and we see things from her perspective for a brief moment, and it's different, to say the least. Ballard says that she seems possessed. We get more details of Williams's file, and he was caught with money, but says he didn't cut the victims' heads off. Helena and Ballard approach the vehicle outside, where another man is inside who's suffering from the same affliction as the officer in the closet. When Helena goes to open the vehicle door, a mysterious figure darts across the screen behind her. Inside, the man slices his own throat. Jericho can open the door, but it'll take a cutting torch and a half hour. Ballard tells Jericho what happened with the man and that Helena is missing now. Jericho tells her to get back to the jail and he'll find Helena. There's nothing they can do for the man now. That's the next set of scenes.
Okay, so as Jericho said when they found the hand, this is not making me happy. Something good, though, the whole thing being shot at night, definitely a smart call, I think, from Carpenter. Keeps the cost down on sets, backgrounds, a lot you can hide in the dark to keep the budget down. I definitely noticed that. Carpenter trademark there. Something else I saw either on the behind the scenes or IMDb, but Henstridge made a comment about some of the framing during the flashback sequences and made the comment that, quote, Carpenter should have directed her better. And Carpenter's response to that was, there was a basketball game on television and I wanted to get out of there. Oh, all right, cool. Well, there's that. Also, in 100 years, can we get some better guns, please? Our introduction to probably the worst three characters in the movie in Akuche, is that how you say that? Whatever that one dude is who felt the need to answer the roll call is with, I'm right in front of you, with the worst delivery I've ever seen in a long time. But most of all, Whitlock, I don't like her. So there's been this huge fucking attack. Everyone's dead. And she came over from Oz in a fucking hot air balloon. And we're supposed to believe that she gives 0 fucks and is just sleeping. So, okay. Can I get back to sleep now? Get the fuck out of here. And let me preface this next thing by saying I actually love Ice Cube in his movies. So I did grow up with him in more than just family movies. I'm probably his only defender for Triple X 2. But, I'm sorry. I think he was miscast here. I hate how they call him Desolation and not his last name or something else. It just doesn't seem natural and not how I think police or military would treat a prisoner. And I'm sorry, Cube just doesn't give off this dangerous vibe to me that, say Vin Diesel did, for instance, in Pitch Black.
He's like a foot and a half taller than Vin Diesel.
It doesn't matter how tall he was. He just didn't. To me, he's just such a nice guy. And I've never seen him. He doesn't come across in this role like that. He came across meaner in Triple X 2 than this. And I know Statham was originally hired to play Williams, but was replaced with Cube for star power. And I get that because you guys mentioned the Transporter not coming out to the next year, but Statham would have been better in that role, I think. Or I've seen fans fan cast this role, fan cast Kurt Russell, Snake Plissken from Escape from New York into that role. And you know how awesome that would have been? Like, much better choices, in my opinion. But anyway, also referring to their officers as rookies. Didn't like that. Felt out of place. Even in the hostage situation, Ballard says, I can't let you take the rookie. I mean, does she even know her name? It's bizarre dialogue to me. It didn't come across sincere. And the guy in the truck, last thing I'll say, super cheesy to me, but it did at least make it made it seem like there was some like crazy virus or something, which I think I might have liked better than this ghost, to be honest. It wasn't called the virus of Mars, though, so I'll shut up. But the throat cut I thought was fantastic. Greg Nicotero, again, his name is just on repeat in every episode in our show. Absolute legend.
Again, I do like the way the room looks here in the beginning of this set of scenes. It does have those slasher feels and vibes. You mentioned Duvall. I believe that's her second appearance on the show in The Faculty, which just made me want to watch the fucking third. Sorry. Just made me want to watch The fucking Faculty, though. I can tell you that. God, I would rather pop that in any day. Again, none of this is really look, to me, unless I missed it, a lot of this just isn't explained very well. Why they're here, why there's a prison here. It's just kind of an odd story to me. I will say I laughed my ass off when this old woman, Wicked Witch of Dorothy herself, or I put Bubble Boy in my notes herself in. The effects looks fucking terrible as she's flying in. I thought that looked awful. This, and then we get to Ice Cube, which again just made me want to watch Anaconda instead of watching this. I agree with you, Brian. I kind of mentioned it in my open, where I just don't see him in this role. It's just, and that's, kind of how the people didn't, a lot of you guys didn't see Chris Rock in that role for Spiral. That's how I feel about Ice Cube in this role. It doesn't fit for me. It's not the kind of role I want to watch him in. It's not his fault. It just is what it is. It's personal preference. Again, I don't have a whole lot here. I will say this is a cool scene with the throat slit, but the music playing in the back is like I'm at a fucking rave. I know that's very of its time, but we're trying to have a very serious scene here, and it just kind of sounds like pop rave music that I had a hard time taking it very serious. So, yeah, man, I did not enjoy this set of scenes. It went by slow.
Y'all need to go back and listen to Death Certificate and America's Most Wanted if y'all don't think Ice Cube is serious like that.
It's not that. It's just that's not the Ice Cube I grew up with, and I have gone back and listened, and it's just that. Meh. Old guy rapping now, man.
Let me guess. When you think of Eddie Murphy, you think of Daddy Daycare.
No.
I mean, come on.
No.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
no, I actually think of Nutty Professor and his stand-up. Yeah.
yeah, Raw and Delirious. Like that's.
Hey, as a kid, we rented Joe Dirt and Daddy Daycare all the time, so I definitely related to that one. But starting this set of scenes off with an unnecessary jump scare and hilarious line delivery by Statham, I almost killed you. That shit cracked me up. But just for the Ice Cube thing, like he doesn't bother me in this lead role personally. Clea Duvall as Bashira. Zero concern shown not being able to reach any help from the train. I was like, come on, you're better than this. Like, show some emotion, please. Whitlock, I agree with Mike on this hot air balloon contraption. I thought she looked ridiculous and dumb. But I did think the fire from the explosion looked really good. Props to them. Ice Cube in this movie is hilarious to me. I say this respectfully, but 2001 must have been the year of crappy 2001 horror movies needing rappers to star in them. I'll just leave it at that. Another unnecessary jump scare while a very off-tune plays along. Pam Grier with an unusually bad line delivery yelling, "Who goes there?" Meh. I did think Pam Grier was really good throughout, though, while she's here. And then, like you guys have mentioned, the guy slitting his own throat, it looked really good. Props to the special effects team. Like you, Brian, I wrote down Greg Nicotero's name, K&B. They always do great work. And I'm sure we'll be complimenting them a lot in the future on this show.
All right. Ballard goes back to the jail where Williams has Bashira held hostage. She let him out for some food, and who could have predicted he'd flip his shit? He said, "Guess what, motherfuckers? He's black, and sometimes he gets angry, so suck a dick." That's from 21 Jump Street, Nico. Descanso and Ballard drop their guns, and Williams releases Bashira and grabs Ballard. She fights him off for a moment, but he Ray Rices her and knocks her out.
Oh, my God.
When she comes to, we hear that Williams ran off to the clinic, and he's got Descanso's shotgun. They go inside to find him, and we see multiple patients who are suffering from the same affliction we saw earlier. A man attacks Ballard, and Williams comes to the rescue and beats him down. Ballard returns the favor and kills a woman who attacked Williams. He maintains his innocence, and Ballard demands that he come with her. They lock him back in his cell, and Ballard asks him what exactly happened when he was busted. When he went into the station, bodies were strung up from the ceiling, the same way that they were at the rec fac earlier, so Williams helped himself to the money. And Williams delivered a line that rings true even to this day in real life. There's a thin line between a cop and a crook these days. Back at the hearing, the official asked where Helena was during all this. She only knows what Jericho told her. He saw a deranged woman carrying a severed head up a hill and planting it on a stake in a row with several other heads. It was Helena's. Over the ridge, he sees a group of savages hooting and hollering and more beheadings taking place. Jericho radios Ballard and tells her everyone in the mine is insane, but the signal is fucked. Ballard grabs Dr. Whitlock and demands she give her some answers. Whitlock tells her that on Earth, certain organisms go dormant under the surface when it gets too dry, but they reemerge the next rain cycle. And she thinks that's what's happening here. One of the psycho fucks attacks Whitlock, and Ballard empties the clip on her, and the evil spirit is out of the body now, and it inhibits one of the other prisoners. Jericho radios in and says he found 3 people hiding in the mine shed and to open the door. Turns out a group of the savages were heading towards him, so he kicked in a door, and the 3 survivors grabbed him and brought him inside. How the group of savages didn't see Jericho, that's beyond me. We see a group of mine workers were calling it a night when a red fog or something like that rolled in. One of the men, Uno, says he thought they were all dead, but they started to stir and they were changing. They were filing their teeth, killing the ones who hadn't changed and making masks out of the faces. Ballard says they'll all take the prisoner and go back to the train. Uno says if it's Desolation Williams, that doesn't work for him and his 2 buddies, and he pulled their guns on our cops. He wants Williams freed. Jericho says the best course of action is to work together and get out alive because there's like 200 possessed savages outside. What do you guys think?
Okay, so one of the supposed baddest men alive just punched you respectfully, a very baby-faced Natasha Henstridge, in the face and knocked you out. And you barely have a little bit of bloody nose? Come on now. Come on. A little bit more fake blood there. Come on. Or black eye or some shit. Jesus Christ. Now, in the prison, I guess, basement, where all those other cells are, I thought that was well done. So these ghosts can't leave the humans until they die? All right. The choreography, though, I thought was good during the fight between Bullard and one of the animals there. But how come when she shot the one and saved Ice Cube that it didn't just immediately take over one of them? These ghosts can't apparently get through walls. Worst ghosts ever. Just saying. I mean, look, that's literally the first thing a ghost learns in ghost school, or in a subway moving a nickel. That's a Ghost the movie reference, Nico.
What if the ghost could get through the walls, but they were stuck at a camp in the 80s? I mean, things happen.
Yeah, maybe you're right. That's true. Golly. Shout out AHS 84. Go listen to that at don'tgoouthere.com. Hated having another flashback within the flashback as we now see the story that Desolation is telling. But even worse is the dialogue back and forth between Bullard and Williams. God, I mean, that was cringe. And we finally get to see what's behind all of this. And at first I was like, The Crow is behind this? Because this motherfucker was painted up like WCW Sting, which kind of brings me to the design of these cats. I don't feel like that there was enough time for them to look the way that they do. I think I would have liked them just to be regular looking cats instead of some people from, like you mentioned it, the Mad Max series. It just, they look Mad Max-ish. Little stuff, again, like Bashira stopping Bullard from beating the shit out of Whitlock for information and Bullard just listening to her. Didn't feel natural, nor police or military-esque at all. Seemed very out of place. Whitlock should be some doctor they found locked away, in my opinion, trying to figure out all this and give them the information they got here instead of coming over in the Wizard of Oz balloon, because just her being some drifter and then drunk in a cell is not who I want giving me this plot dialogue. It just doesn't come across well at all. Last thing, and I'll shut up. Kind of cool to see Lobo Sebastian, though, playing Dose here, because my man was Little Joker in The Amazing Next Friday, better than the OG, don't at me, with Ice Cube just a year prior to this.
Hey, Brian, I have a note about him in here as well. You know what else he was in? I still got 15 more minutes with Joy Behar. Longest Yard remake with Adam Sandler. Let's fucking go. It's fucking hilarious in that movie.
I love that movie.
Fucking hilarious in that movie. All right. I still think there are some decent filmmaking aspects. I know we kind of had our little shit on Carpenter fest, but there's a few good things I do like. There's some long tracking shots, especially when they're kind of showing the prisoners or the possessed people from the ghosts, although, like Brian said, it looks more like they're infected than they are possessed, but that's neither here nor there. I love Ice Cube. So I'm trying to pull out a few positives here. I love Ice Cube's line about the thin line between a crook and a cop these days. And I love him calling her out for basically being a druggie. And he can tell. Takes one to know one kind of deal. Like, I've seen this my whole life. You don't think I know what you look like? I do like that. I won't lie. The heads on sticks kind of look badass. And in my notes, I put Pam Grier on a stick. That's a Jeff Dunham reference for those who don't know. But I do think it's pretty cool. And then we get, like you just mentioned, these fucking Mad Max, cracked up, BDSM loving illiterate motherfuckers, which just don't look good, man. I don't understand what the decision was there. And it's not to impugn anybody's costume work. It's not that. I just don't think the character design was well done. It looks hokey and goofy and looks like a really bad 1993 Vince McMahon storyline. It really does. That looks like some new generation bullshit right there. I think Dustin thought I was about to shit on WCW, but nay. Went to Vince McMahon instead, because fuck him. And
he'd probably like you if you shit on him.
Yeah, he probably would. Anyway,
sick fuck.
Something. He is a sick fuck. I will say the head slicing looks pretty cool here. The non-linear storytelling really fucking bugs me in this movie, especially in this part. They're like showing the same thing from 3 different perspectives, and it's all over the place. I don't understand what we're doing here. I will say my man Uno mocking the accent was pretty fucking hilarious. It popped me pretty well. That's all I had.
All right. I hope I don't get canceled for this line, but I thought it was funny. Drop the weapon before I cut this dyke bitch head off. Such an appropriate first line for 2001 Ice Cube. I got a good laugh out of that. And I can't believe Ice Cube went from South Central to Rancho Cucamonga and then to Mars. My man is living. Whatever this ghost POV look is following the police, I thought it was terrible, and I honestly have no clue how Carpenter and company watches back and said, yeah, let's keep this in the movie. This miner digging at the ground where Braddock's head is now posted up feels kind of Hills Have Eyes-ish, but the rock music playing along takes me right out of it, kind of like Maximum Overdrive. It's like it's supposed to be kind of a tense scene, but the music just it doesn't make me feel scared. All these Ghost Warriors, like you guys mentioned, I thought they looked ridiculous. They look like Comic-Con cosplayers or relative to The Fiend from WWE. It's hilarious. We all use wrestling references, and I use the newest one, and I don't even know much about The Fiend. There's no way this group of miners, like you mentioned, Dustin, didn't see Jericho run into that building. Like, bro, like they were over the hill already. And I don't know why, but this came to my mind, and I was like, he's not in the cast, but I think Exhibit had a role in making this movie. Yo, dog, I heard you like flashbacks. I'm going to put a flashback in your flashback.
I love that. I do. That's right. I love it.
And what the fuck are these transitions? I thought they were really amateurish. And Jericho, this is the last thing I got, is my favorite character so far. Subtly calling them scumbags. It got me to chuckle, and I wish Jason Statham had a bigger role. Not that Q was bad, but I like Jason Statham the most.
I think it's funny, Nico, that you talked about Rancho Cucamonga, because I actually had in my notes for the subcoming scene that Desolation and his crew were called the Cucamonga Cacker Killers.
Hell yeah. Pinky. All right, guys, we are halfway through. Let's get it. The group heads to Williams' cell and unlocks it and takes off his cuffs, and the dumbass criminals get locked in the cell. Madden awareness, -4. Ballard bargains with Williams and tells him if she opens the door, they have to stand at her command. He reluctantly agrees, and then Uno threatens to cut Ballard's titties off. Bad move. Ballard then deputizes other prisoners and sees the man who was inhibited by the ghost acting funny. She leaves him in the cell. Good move. After taking Williams' crew's guns away earlier, she gives them more weapons. Okay, how'd that make sense? One of the guys, Dose, is huffing some nitrous and getting high, and he tries to be a badass and open a can in a showboating manner to impress a female, and the dumbass cuts his own thumb off in the process. The group makes their exit, and the train isn't there, but Ballard says it'll be there, right before the mine office explodes behind them. As they walk through town, the savages start lining the rooftops and hurling spears and other objects at the group below, and some awful CG effects. Ballard asks Williams if he has any fresh ideas, and now the movie picks up. He starts running through town, guns blazing. Hell yeah. The group starts mowing down the bad guys and kicks off a hell of a showdown. Bodies flew through the air and shot similar to how they did in the old Power Rangers show, and I laughed. When one of the savages was killed, the ghost inside transferred to Uno. Uh-oh. On top of a nearby building, the leader of the ugly motherfuckers lets out a battle cry, and our group heads inside for shelter. Before he could make it in, though, Descanso was decapitated by a flying saw blade. Hell yeah. What'd you guys think?
Bro, that is the fucking greatest description. I was trying my hardest to think where I remembered what that looked like, and the Power Rangers show is it's perfect. That is perfect description right there.
It's like damn, literally if you watch an old episode of Power Rangers and watch that, it's identical.
They're all that is perfect. Anyway. Last set of scenes, and I didn't see this anywhere, but I wanted to say it because it looks like it, so I don't know. But when they're talking about Jericho finding the guys in the storage shed, and it shows behind him all of the decapitated heads up on that hill of sticks, the one in the very far right, if you pause it, looks just like the Michael Myers mask from Halloween. You know, given it being John Carpenter, I mean, I don't know. But if you pause it, go back and look. It's right at 41 minutes in, the one on the far right. That's got to be Myers.
Is it the best mask, like from Curse?
And, you know, I was going to say they didn't find this fucking mask anywhere else, but we can put it in Ghost of Mars. We can't put it in Halloween 4 or 5. Yeah, no, but we can put it in Ghost of Mars. Anyway, I'm also dying laughing when this crew, the Cucamonga Cracker Killers, as previously described, and they're on there celebrating with Williams, and Ballard just shuts the door. Like, shut the fuck. I was laughing. Like, what the fuck? These badasses just turned into... what's the trope where the villain has like all the stupidest sidekicks and just hates them all for their stupid decisions and tell them to shut up all the time? Crack me up, honestly. You know, as we kind of start venturing a little bit into spoof territory to me, and I kind of start to get the movie if I look at it like that. But the problem is that I don't think that it's supposed to be taken like that. So until Uno tells Ballard he will cut her titties off, and I'm just shaking my head at the dialogue again. I mean, just like, what? So the dude in the cell that is now infected with the ghost that's scratching himself That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I wish all of them looked like that was infected. Just the face paint, the hands over the titties, all of that was just way too much, like we've talked about. This would have been more effective, in my opinion, with just scratches on their face or cuts from where they've just mangled themselves. But it went over the top with the Mad Max stuff. Then we have Dose cutting his finger off, trying to be a badass on the can, and then passing out. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, did we need that really? Like these cats being the comedy relief just feels like really out of place right here. I love that we finally start to get some action though, because we're 53 minutes into the movie at this point, and it was dragging to me. It drives my ass crazy that we're dealing with motherfuckers throwing shit versus people with fucking guns. Like, this shouldn't even be a match. This shouldn't even really be a threat. I love Desolation finally sees this and he's like, let's just fucking go. But at that point, could you waste any more damn ammo, by the way, and not hit anybody? Like, this should be a massacre. And instead it turns into like this shit show with way too many casualties with people with guns. And these cats are throwing blades from like a handsaw. And instead of bouncing off like they would, they're literally cutting limbs off. And with no blood, by the way. They're just like lightsaber, just cutting limbs off. Jesus Christ. And also, like, why aren't all these people, like, all the ghosts should be leaving them right then, and everyone, and like just immediately infecting everyone who's dying out here. I mean, I'm a little bit getting frustrated and over the movie at this point, but it does get better.
Yeah, you mentioned it being over the top, man. This is where I had the same dilemma that you do. I don't care what John Carpenter says. This movie is very clearly trying to take itself serious at certain points. And you can't mix that with cutting people's tits off and, making, the funny ha-ha of the three friends with Uno and Dose. And it doesn't work. It doesn't fit together. Man, I did not have a lot on this set of scenes. I already mentioned the Lobo Sebastian Longest Yard reference. I could have gone without this guy kind of peeling at his face. I feel like we've gotten that in a lot of movies lately. People peeling their skin off. I wish we maybe do a movie that didn't have that. That'd be great. Anyway, and I had to sit through it. Ugh, makes my skin crawl. Yeah, I know a lot of people kind of die for no reason, but I still think Ice Cube had a better plan than just, I don't know, sitting and fucking waiting. Have to get after their ass. I can respect it. It's a pretty cool looking fight scene. My only issue, and this is a later issue, not a now issue, this fight scene's great. I kind of feel like they, lack of a better term, they busted their nut here because we have another fight scene later that I thought was like, I thought we already kind of had the big climactic fight scene, but I guess not. Shout out to my guy Uno, R.I.P. I thought he actually was a fun character, just it doesn't fit the rest of the movie for some reason. And I would have lingered on that decapitation there, shown it, made it look cool. Instead, it's just a miss it and it's gone moment. So, yep, that's all I had.
All right, the scumbags, they're idiots. How do you get free then lock back up that fast? Good night. All right, I'm 48 minutes in this movie, and Natasha Henstridge hasn't looked like she's it doesn't look like she's enjoyed making this movie one time yet. I say this again with no disrespect. I kind of mentioned this with Emma Roberts in our American Horror Story review. But am I supposed to really believe she could overpower this hulking guy, former football player? I'm just not buying it. I know she's got some like pressure points and all that, but Yeah, and good call, Lieutenant. Hold your fire. And as soon as you say that, your whole platoon gets attacked. Good call. You always go on offense. I was like, that's just bad dialogue and choice in story writing. Like, just don't do that. I'm crying laughing at these folks flying through the air after the grenades explode. I thought that was hilarious and looked terrible, but it did make me laugh, so I'll give it credit. And this isn't a nitpick, but a real annoyance. And you kind of touched on this already, Brian, but all these folks have guns, but I'm seeing so many of them with hand-to-hand combat or using the guns as bludgeoning weapons. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Shoot them. But I will say, Descanso getting his head cut smooth off with that thrown saw blade, that was nice, and I thought it was hilarious. Go ahead, Dustin.
But there was no blood.
It was still funny, though.
It was funny. You're right.
All right. Back at the hearing, Ballard says the door was disabled by Jericho, so they were safe inside for a while. The group of uglies march towards where our group is holed up, and the leader lets out a hell of a primal scream, and his lackeys chant behind him. Ballard asks Whitlock for more details, and we hear there was a significant find. They discovered an underground tunnel. In true colonizer fashion, Whitlock and her colleagues fuck with something ancient from a foreign land, and when she touches a sill on the wall, it disintegrates and a red cloud evacuates. Good job, dipshit. Jericho tells Ballard they should make a run for it, but she says the train is on the way. Good thing, because outside all hell is breaking loose. Desolation and Ballard have a touching heart-to-heart, and he tells her that he only believes in a Bee Gees song, Staying Alive. Then, in an all-time what-the-fuck moment, Jericho calls Ballard into a room to show her how cozy it is, and my man is determined to grease her cheeks. Horny doesn't take a day off, even when possessed savages are wanting to cut your heads off. She surprisingly says okay and kisses him. The fuck? Their sexy time is short-lived, however, as it's broken up by the sound of gunfire. Bashira has shot the possessed prisoner. Idiot. The loose ghost takes over Ballard. They move her out back, and Desolation gives Jericho Ballard's necklace that he'd stolen from her. Ballard says it's her stash and takes out one of the perk 30s we saw earlier and puts it in Ballard's mouth. As if possession wasn't enough, now Ballard gets to trip her balls off. She starts convulsing and hallucinating, and it goes on for way too long, honestly. Then the ghost inside isn't built for the party, and they're out. Once she's herself again, she realizes she's alone outside and unarmed, and one of the savage do too. He attacks, but she's a badass and fights him off. Oh, and steal his weapon to fashion into a grappling hook. She Batmans her ass up the wall and tells Jericho and Williams to let her in through the camera. Inside, she says she got a glimpse of what the Martians want, to destroy all invaders. Bashira sees on the camera that outside the savages have turned a vehicle into a battering ram. Williams and Ballard fight off the first wave of intruders, but they run out of ammo. Jericho and Bashira provide relief, and we see the ghosts leaving the dead bodies and floating through the air looking for new hosts. They retreat into a storm room and set up a container of flammable liquid by the door. When one of the bastards drops through the ceiling, Ballard shoots the barrel and catches him on fire, and she and Williams escape to join the others who are heavily outnumbered in a fight. They make it out the back door, and the train is at the station. Bashira tells the conductor that they're on their way, and Jericho shuttles them towards the station. And the next set of scenes is the ending. Thank God.
You cracked me up saying the ghost wasn't ready for the party. That she was that was badass. But all right, so Trace asking about Uno being Desolation's brother here. Can we go back to that for a second? So why did Desolation leave him to begin with, his brother? He just looked like a little hurt when Desolation even tried to get to him. Like, I don't think enough to leave him, but I mean, damn, he was just kind of looked at him weird, but okay, whatever. We finally get what really happened from fucking Whitlock. God, I fucking hate Whitlock, by the way. Why didn't you tell them all this 30 minutes ago when they showed up with the best chance at, any escape that you had? You wanted to sleep? Man, fuck you. Now, that would have been a nice script edit right there had they just fucking shot her exactly then for being part of the cause and not telling about it earlier. Bam, dead. Would have made me rate this movie higher immediately. I also loved when Bashira came in to interrupt and said these exact words. I got through to the train. The tracks are blocked. Then Ballard's response was, can they get through though? Motherfucker, were you just listening? The tracks are goddamn blocked. What kind of question was that? It made me laugh. I wish that had been the response. And look, respect for Jericho shooting a shot here, but I thought, this isn't really going to end well for him. Little did I know. She was going for it. Like, what was really going to fuck him in there? Hey, I guess persistence pays off. Yeah, it's crazy, but hey, apparently it was about to fucking work before they got cock-blocked by Stokely from the faculty, wasting that dude just saying, fuck him. Like, that got me too. I laughed. Like, that was a reason for shooting. Just fuck him. That was actually Statham's first on-screen kiss, by the way, with Henstridge. Nice. And, seeing this dream sequence or whatever, it was showing, like, when it showed the creatures as she was high on clear, you know what they reminded me of? You guys ever play that old game Battletoads? Like, the Martians
hell yeah.
Yeah, the Martians in that flashback looked like Battletoads. And I don't know why they spent all that time on the makeup or the masks or whatever just for that one flashback, but because we never see them like that again. Bad choice. I would have liked to have seen them full Battletoads the whole time. And last thing I'll say in here, literally the exchange and dialogue between Ballard and Desolation. If one of those things possesses us, what do? Leave them. Motherfucker, you just cured her with a clear pill. You don't want to use it to cure anyone else that gets possessed on your team? Damn, seems selfish as shit. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, I'm just having a hard time being invested in the story. I really am. And maybe it's because of the way stuff looks. I don't know, but I'm just having a really hard time paying attention. But again, my guy Jason Statham is thirsty. Actually, kind of works this time a little bit. Question mark. So, hey, more power to him. My girl is an absolute addict, though. This was, this is how an addict behaves. I've seen it in my own personal life. Although, like I said earlier on, I'd like to take this perk 30 here to just see what it's like. I want to experience these hallucinations and things that she's experiencing. I thought that looked pretty cool. I thought some of the visuals there, the way it was shot, the way it was edited, I thought it looked pretty cool. Finally, a song that I think kind of fits its scene. Just the first one of the whole movie to me, where it was like, all right, this kind of fucking fits what's happening. Okay, a hard rock song. Said they made a battering ram. Buddy, they made a worse battering ram than the entire town of South Park did, where Cartman had to kill off all the hippies. They made a better battering ram on that show than they made for this.
Great episode.
Great fucking episode. Goddamn hippies. Last thing. These things can basically go down with one bullet. That's it. These ghost things are basically going down with one bullet. Bunch of pussies. Anyway, go ahead, Nico.
All right, I'm starting off with another wrestling reference. I think this ghost miner leading their army looks like he'd be the rival or ally of famed WWF tag team, the Legion of Doom. For any listeners who haven't seen this movie or need a rewatch, I challenge you to play a drinking game where you take a shot of liquor. Jameson or Rumplemints is a recommendation from the picker of this movie, Dustin Franklin. For every time a flashback happens, you will probably die. Nitpick, but Bashir reports back that she makes contact with a train, but the tracks are blocked. Why not tell them that right there? They're trying to clear it instead of waiting for Ballard to ask. I don't know why, but that just did bother me a little bit. Jericho is relentlessly horny for Ballard, and it works until Bashir starts shooting folks in the cell. You hate to see it. I was actually happy for my guy. And again, I say this ghost POV distorted filter, it looks awful. I really don't know why they keep doing this. Hallucinogenic drugs get rid of evil spirits. That's big news that I bet the Catholic Church was aware of. These four people shooting, charging ghosts gets monotonous pretty quick to me. And it makes no sense how that canister exploded, setting that big ghost on fire. Like, it exploded and just caught him on fire. It didn't even, actually explode. It was very weird. 1 hour, 15 minutes into this, and I'm really struggling to understand why these actors took their roles. They must have needed the money. Go ahead.
Well, I'm guessing that they're like, oh, John Carpenter, he's a legend. Yeah, I'll take this. But imagine you just opened up a new line of thinking. Imagine how much shorter the movie, let's say The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Imagine if she was a normal college student and was, taking a little Molly, popping a little Molly. That demon would have been out of there, and her parents wouldn't have had to go through that heartache. Anyway,
facts.
Okay, this is the ending. Jericho drives through town, plowing through the possessed miners in his path. They make it on board the train, and it takes off. Ballard says they have to go back, though. The conductor says, hell no, but she says the things will keep coming. They have to go back and put an end to it there. A better plan would be getting back to Earth. Fuck that. Whitlock tells Ballard how to make a mini atomic bomb, but she's not sure it would kill the ghost, just the human hosts. But the plan was fucked. Ballard, Jericho, and Whitlock were supposed to prep the bomb while the train served as distraction, but the leader of the antagonists saw Ballard. Maybe her dumbass shouldn't have been standing open, out in the open like that. I don't know. Whitlock gets possessed, and the conductor gets killed, and Ballard gets her leg sliced by a flying saw blade, courtesy of the leader. Oh, and Bashira's head was cut off by a flying saw blade, too. Williams gets Ballard back to the train, and Jericho is overtaken by a group of Martians, and the other train personnel is killed by a throat slice via flying saw blade. Did they raid an Ace Hardware before this attack?
Dude.
There's a lot of saw blades flying.
Dude.
Williams goes back to plant a detonator to blow the back half of the train, and Ballard hears some noises. When she investigates, one of the savages attacks her, and the leader of their gang attacks Williams. We cut back and forth to both fights, and Williams unhooks the train cars, separating himself from the leader, and that part of the train blows up. Ballard tosses her opponent to the floor, or to the door, out the door, and the nuke goes off. Next thing we know, Ballard is getting stitched up by Williams, and the train is on autopilot. She tells him she'll make sure his charges are dropped, but he handcuffs her to the bed and says he's getting off the train now. He can't let her turn him in. He jumps off the train, and we're all caught up to where we began the movie. Ballard is dismissed from the hearing, and the official that was leading it asks that their statement will be that Mars is overrun by ghosts. Ballard is awakened by an emergency announcement, and Williams bursts into her room and tosses her a gun, and they try to recruit each other to join each other's sides and say it's time to kick some ass, and the movie ends.
Guy's the fucking Olympic champion of throwing saw blades too, by the way. And you in the review, guys, don't get too excited when he said he handcuffed her to the bed. It wasn't that exciting. Okay, so this actually was probably my favorite portion of the film, was the ending here, and I'm not being facetious asshole because it's over, but the action in this set of scenes, the running, the metal soundtrack, not much dialogue. That's how half the movie should have been. This movie, I think, struggled when it tried to do more than that, in my opinion. Fun action, fun ass kicking on the train, more terrible effects from Lance Wilhoit, visual effects supervisor, but he probably did the best he could, so I'm not trying to shit on him too much. I could have done without the very, very end, though, with Vicious and Delicious. Look at me with 2 wrestling references. What's going on with us, Nico? We're over the top.
Hell yeah.
It's actually, his name, I know is not Delicious.
Whoa,
but
guys, thought we did a horror podcast here. Let's calm down on all the wrestling references.
The only reason I even said Vicious and Delicious because I accidentally wrote Delicious instead of Desolation. So just a little hit behind the scenes here. But whatever. Regardless, I could have done without him coming back and the 2 giving a cheers while holding these chrome-plated mini machine guns. That was ridiculous. But what is even more ridiculous, after all the hating on this movie that I fucking gave it, I'd watch a sequel. Just saying.
Hell yeah.
Oh, brother. Oh, my go? Okay. This line, it's not their planet anymore. Is this supposed to be some allegory for something? I don't know, whether it's Native American or humans. I don't fucking know. It's a weird allegory for something. I don't think the line's there by accident. But it didn't get that story across the entire movie, for sure. Again, I mentioned this already, but I just kind of feel like we've already had this big blow-off fight scene, and then we get another one, and I don't know, I'm just kind of over it. First one looked cool. Here's another one. I guess that's fine. R.I.P. Robert Carradine here in this scene. Nerd. Anyway, the effects on top of this train are LOL. They're awful. It looks just fucking terrible. I like the fact that all of a sudden Ice Cube can give stitches. The motherfucker knows how to stitch people up. That's just crazy. Honestly, for a minute there, I thought they may hook up. They did not. So that's my warped brain right there that I apologize for. This whole movie is just a court deposition or whatever. Like, I don't know, man. It just, I'm not a super big fan of the way that part of it wraps up. I'm going to end on a positive, though. I do like the ending where they join back forces and go after these ghosts again. I thought that was fun. I think that's a really fun way to end the movie. For all its qualms, at least it kind of stuck the landing on the ending with a happy one. So, a little thumbs up there, but that's about all my positives. And I'm positively glad that the fucking thing was over. So,
all right, starting off, this was frustrating to me, but I wrote, why do they keep questioning folks operating the train? Wasn't it communicated a couple of scenes ago that tracks were blocked off? Like, why? Why are you asking the guy? I can't even remember what the line was, but Natasha with more flat line delivery. Oof. And I looked at her IMDb after this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she was in more than one movie that had over a 6.0 rating. This might have killed her career, to be honest with you. Oh. Ice Cube is always Ice Cube, and that's not a bad thing. I think he's good at being himself. Natasha bitches at the train conductor for taking too long, but then asked to go back. My Lord. My Lord. I was sad seeing my girl Clea Duvall killed. Shout out to Stokely from The Faculty. And she also plays a pretty integral role in American Horror Story Asylum. Shout out to her. I liked her in that. Wild to me that Ice Cube had better fight choreography and action sequence with Debo than he did a giant ghost from Mars. Unreal. How the fuck are you, Lieutenant, and can't prevent yourself from being handcuffed out of nowhere? And her sarcastic smiling, that didn't sit right with me either. Extremely cheesy, like you mentioned, Brian, with Ice Cube barging in the room, tossing her the gun, and the dialogue is painful to end the film. I conclude this saying, thank God this is over.
And when's the next one coming out, baby?
What?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have any trivia? I've got a few things.
I've got one thing. I'll go ahead and say it. I'll do one thing. John Carpenter revealed that he had become burned out after he made this film and made the decision of leaving Hollywood for good. It would not be until 9 years later that he made a full feature film, which was The Ward, 2010.
Burned out.
He's an old burnout, that's for sure.
I've got quite a few. I was trying to delete the other ones that I had, so forgive me if I repeat you. I feel like that's a weekly thing I say. Much of the location shooting was done on a gypsum mine near Albuquerque, New Mexico. The gypsum, which was almost pure white, was sprayed with a biodegradable red food dye to give the appearance of a Martian landscape. You already mentioned how Natasha Henstridge replaced Courtney Love, the original choice. Love left the project after her boyfriend's ex-wife ran over her foot in her car while she was training for the film. Give me a fucking break. But also some names that were considered: Michelle Yeoh and Famke Janssen were briefly considered. So the trailer, I don't know if you guys watched the trailer to this movie, but I did. And if you did, you'll hear a very familiar voice, Keith David. He narrates the trailer. And of course, he's in a couple other Carpenter's movies, The Thing and They Live. For the film's soundtrack, Carpenter composed it, but he also called upon various rock musicians to help enhance his own score. They include members of Anthrax, Steve Vai, Guns N' Roses, Buckethead, and Robert Fink and Elliot Easton, formerly of The Cars. So he wanted more of a rock score. He got it. Let's see. One of the severed heads looks like Greg Nicotero. That's not me saying that. That was a fun fact I found. This one's funny. In an early draft of the script, it was written as a semi-musical. The idea was that Ice Cube would rap through the flashback/exposition sequences with the Ghost of Mars featuring heavily as a dancing troupe. The idea was scrapped when Carpenter discovered that Ice Cube was a better actor than rapper. I don't think he is.
What?
I love Ice Cube as a rapper, but that's a wild statement. And
That is a wild statement.
I'm glad he made that choice. And the last one, everyone's favorite, Clea Duvall, who plays Bashira, was in a little movie in 1997 called The Alarmist, and the star of that movie was David Arquette.
That was easy.
Nice. Hey, man, thank God Michelle Yeoh didn't take this. It might have ruined her
Michelle
career.
Yeoh's great.
And we would have never got everything everywhere all at once. Thank God she didn't ruin her career.
Let me address something you said, Nico, real quick. You said that you were looking at Natasha Henstridge's IMDb, and this movie might have killed her career. Maybe she killed her career because she phoned it in this performance, and maybe she's just not that good. I retract that statement if she wants to come on the show.
And when whenever we do Species, can we at least retract it for that one movie?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, I don't even blame her. Like, I don't blame her. I mean, never mind. Let's jump into our social media comments questions. I'll knock out the gram. Dana Tucker 48 commented, I've never seen it, but will watch since Dustin picked it and see how I'll rate it with him. Game on with a fist bump emoji. Hell yeah, brother. Tyler Touchton commented, if you had to rename this movie based on afterthoughts, what would it be with the sideways laughing emoji?
I would call it Stephen King Cocaine Trip on Mars.
There you go. I would call it Crackhead Mad Max. There you go.
I would call it Bunch of Excuses Made by John Carpenter on Mars. Anywho,
kind of like Assault on Precinct 13. I'm going to call it Assault on Mars or some shit. So there you go.
All right. That's fair. Last comment we got is from Kevin Scanlon, teammate of the show. I only have one question. Why? With a laughing emoji. And Matt Sears replied with a laughing emoji as well.
So Facebook, Dex Cole, what a terrible, terrible movie, but a guilty pleasure nonetheless. Look, I got to admit, I added another terrible in there. He only wrote one. But especially as a kid in the early 2000s when I saw it for the first time, I love it, even if it's a bad movie. That is Dustin's burner account. Not one of JC's best, JC being John Carpenter, not Jesus Christ. But I've watched this movie a dozen or so times, and I never grow tired of it. That's from Dave Bacchus. And top fan, Matt Sears. I love Carpenter, but this movie is terrible.
All right. Let's do the artist formerly known as Twitter. We got 3 on there. That guy, Millhouse14108, said, had to go back and listen to the part of the month, to the start of the month to see if I missed a repeat of, quote, Feel My Pain month.
Damn.
Wow. at DM Frank. then he added me to add some more shots. I'd rather be emasculated publicly while having Baby Shark played at full volume on repeat than watch this atrocity again. Thanks for the torment, brother. 2 out of 10 for me. And then I replied that Baby Shark will forever be a banger to me due to the 2019 Nationals adopting it as their theme song. Oh, and you're welcome. Our friend of the show, Sean Irwin, said, I have a question. Didn't you learn the first time you tried to review this movie? I would rather watch Rubber again than this. And I said, then do it. And he said, and suffer through that again?
Then watch it.
Anita Russell said, one of my guilty pleasures. I know it's a bad movie, but I still like it. Hell yeah. And then Troy Ray said, how did this get made? Yeah, I don't know, brother.
I agree. All right. I will go ahead with the budget. This movie was made for a whopping $28 million, and in the United States grossed just under $8.5 million, worldwide $14 million. That's pretty fucking terrible. And you guys have every right to shit on Mr. JC for this one because as good as some of maybe his early work was, this was the drizzling shits. Also, Dustin, I'm going to pull with you. I have a fun one for you. You ready?
Yep.
Keith David was the narrator of the trailer of a movie that had Ice Cube in it. And Ice Cube was in Friday with Tiny Lister, who was in No Holds Barred with Hulk Hogan, who was in WCW with Eric Bischoff, who got pinned by world champion David Arquette. You're welcome.
And David Arquette did not kill WCW.
No, he did not. Not even close, but
I applaud you, Mike, but I don't really think you needed to go the Keith David route. You could have just went straight to the Ice Cube part.
Yeah, I wanted to really stretch it out. Really wanted to give it a little stretch there, you know?
That's fair. Hey, shout out to Keith David, OG. He's a legend.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
brother. He's in another movie I plan to pick eventually. Nope. He's
hell yeah. Let's go.
All right, guys, jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating. Who wants to kick it off tonight?
My favorite kill was Descanso. He was the first decapitation via flying saw blade, and it was awesome, I ain't gonna lie. Least favorite kill was Jericho. He was a main character, and he just got swarmed, and we never saw what happened to him, and we never saw him again, so that was lame. Final thoughts. Look, it's like someone watched Pitch Black with Vin Diesel and said, we can retell this story, and if we change the creatures to ghosts, they'd never know. Look, is it good? No. But it's kind of fun in a so bad it's tolerable kind of way. Nowhere near as good as 13-year-old me thought, though. But hey, what are you going to do? I gave it a 4 3/4.
Oh, my God.
All right. My favorite kill is the one done by Duvall. I shot that motherfucker, and I thought it was a funny line. Fuck him. My least favorite kill is her. Damn it, didn't need to see her die. R.I.P. Yeah, so look, man, gave all my thoughts on the movie, tried to be as nice as I could. I personally haven't given out a score this low in a long time. I'm going to give this movie a 2. Fuck this movie.
Favorite kill, I agree with you, Dustin. Descanso. Great kill. I thought it was funny. Thought it was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Least favorite kill, I agree with you again. I like Statham. Didn't even see it, though. But you could have picked a lot of bad kills, like kind of off screen, one bullet shot. Yeah, just, kind of meh. All right. I'm glad you mentioned the Pitch Black thing because I was going to say, if you want to watch a movie like this, just watch Pitch Black. It's way better. It's got Keith David in it, for Pete's sake. He's great in the role. I really don't want to be mean, but I feel like John Carpenter's made a lot of excuses to why this movie's bad when it's pretty much just your fault, buddy. You put your actors and actresses through a lot of hell. You let them down, in my opinion. There's a lot of discourse between him and Natasha, it seemed like. She thought he could have directed her better. He said that he was distracted watching a basketball game. That was one of the trivias I read. It's like, are you kidding me? And now you're calling this movie shit? Yeah, it's your fault, pal. You know why? Because it's your fault. I don't really enjoy much of anything about it, so I'm just going to be as brutally honest as I can be, and I'm going to give it a 1. It's even worse than Cabin Fever. At least Cabin Fever has Serena Vincent, and at least it has her in it. Shout out.
God damn it. All right, so least favorite kill is Pam Grier. I felt off screen. I felt like she deserved better. My favorite kill, though, Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds with that throat slash at the end. Last set of scenes, great effects on that. Which leads me to my high points. The makeup, Nicotera and his team did fantastic. But overall, I was disappointed with the movie. I wish they'd leaned more into what apparently Carpenter was trying to go for, which was Maximum Overdrive type of feel, but it just didn't work. It drug on a lot to me. Honestly, like a lot of Carpenter's movies do. But again, I don't hate it as near as much as I sounds like I do, because it kind of grew on me by the end a little bit, to be honest. It's not good review talk, but I can sum it up with just it's Carpenter. Like, hell, I don't feel like he even really tried on this one, to be honest. But again, I understand what I'm getting into with his stuff, in my opinion. I gave it higher than I did The Fog, and I said, "Oh my God," because I fucking am the highest on this fucking movie, and I gave it a 4.75.
Oh my God!
Well, that's what I gave it.
You tied for the highest.
That gives us a composite score of 3.125. IMDb is at a 4.9, so they know ball. And Rotten Tomatoes, 23%.
That's better.
Here's my thing, though. All right, if you're John Carpenter and you want to go over the top, why don't you have these like ghosts that exploding like very wackily? You know what I'm saying? Like
I said, be silly, be fun. Don't
be silly, be fun with it. Like shoot them in the head and they blow up. Like have fun with it. Like legitimately have fun with it. Have the cast more fun. Like I don't know. It just seemed very flat and like they were very uninterested to me. It's like
that's why
they were like me at work, just coasting through. Like, I don't want to be here. I'm only here for the check. It's not like they're having fun.
Brother.
But that's why I think that's bullshit. I think he set out to just do a good movie, and then it got slammed so bad that he just was like, "Yeah, I meant to do that."
Yeah, he's full of shit on that one.
Yeah, I think he's full.
Also, we've said the phrase "over the top" so much on this episode that I want to go watch the Stallone movie now. I want to go arm wrestle.
All right, I'm gonna shout out our blood donors. I'm sorry, Dustin, I'll say mean to your pick, but I got to be brutally honest. I know you're going to shit on my movies in the future, so shout out our blood donors. And Brian, you can announce your pick for next week. I know you're excited for it. Legendary blood donor, new one, Dana Tucker. Shout out to her; she's a big fan. Really appreciate it. Camper level reoccurring, Nina, Michelle Merza, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Alex Seligson, Michael Evans, Steve Schmidt, and Max K. Camp Council reoccurring, Edwin Hernandez-Gunn, Joe Swinford, Shan, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Matt Strickland, Brooke Maley, Thorne David Phillips, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davidson, the Too Close to Home podcast, Dana Tucker again, and Cole McAlexander. What I really appreciate about that is there's a lot of names that's been on there for a lot of episodes. That means a lot to us. Appreciate the support. Brian, shout out your pick. I know you're excited for it. I know Dustin's excited for it as well.
I am. In July, I went with a free month because I really wanted to pick this. It is my birthday month. Me and Mike are shifting our picks a little bit around, so it's not going to be right on my birthday. But I'm going to do a little bit of different episode for that. My free pick and the whole reason I did a free month was for 2024's McKenna Grace, Finn Wolfhard, Carrie Coon, and Paul Rudd led Ghostbusters 4 Frozen Empire.
Overdue.
I agree. Overdue, motherfucker.
And you can check out Brian and my instant reaction to that movie from when we went to see it in theaters at don'tgoouthere.com.
You just wait till we don't review Maxine the next day. That shit'll be overdue, pal. Anyway.
Well, we're not going to, because it's not going to be streaming.
Wow. Appreciate y'all listening. I'm excited to watch Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I have no clue what it's about, so I'm going in really blind. Appreciate y'all listening.
And a Frozen Empire.
If you've seen this movie, Ghost of Mars, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and if we were too mean to it or not. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. Just want to remind everybody.